All right, welcome back to the bench, episode 96, where this episode is sponsored by Get Help. Get Help is a raiding guild on Illidan, and they are one of the greatest guilds of all time, sponsored by Drogo, where he pays players to come in and help them kill Bellerin and other raid bosses. So this episode is sponsored by the guild Get Help of Illidan. Growl, how has Lura Prague been, and what is it like to actually have paid mercenaries in on progression kills?
Oh boy. I mean, the thing about hard bosses in Mythic Raid is it's so hard when you have people who can't show up. Not even attendance issues, right? Sometimes life just happens and you can't show up to raid. And on bosses like Lura or Bellerin, where certain classes have such specific jobs and you're having such a massive setback to bring some guy on the bench who doesn't know and is just gonna like essentially wipe the raid over and over again. It's just tough. I don't know. It's something funny that in my perfect world, like number one, I don't really mind just not raiding a day if it's really that bad, or also I don't mind just wiping just to like play the game. But for people who are guild rank focused, yeah, the solution is to hire some outside help. And so basically what happened was I think we talked about it a little bit last week. It was the Bellerin dies or we die. We had one day left. And essentially, you really want Vantis to prog Lura, but you also really want Vantis to kill Bellerin. And so we were like, well, we really need to kill this boss so we can extend and not have to Vantis it to kill it again. And so we basically decided that we had two people that were out, and we had Dorky and Goop both ringing for our raid as mercenaries. But we did kill the boss, and that was great. And now we're, like 100 and something pulls into Lura. We're discussing what our attack plan is for next week.
Paid mercenaries, just as a concept in raiding, is insane to me, by the way. Yep. I don't know if you feel the same, Squishy. It is like, not in 100 years would I think be like, oh yeah, we're going to get people and pay them to join our guild.
I mean, it's the discussion we had last week where it's like people care way too much about the about their rank.
Oh yeah, the ego of guild ranking. Yeah.
Like, look, if you paid 20 mercenaries from Liquid to join your guild and they killed the boss for you, is that your guild still?
Yeah, I think it depends. In our case, I cut us some slack because we had a tank literally leave in the middle of Prague or get kicked or whatever happened. I still don't even really know. Like, I think if we're benching people and we're getting Dorky to play, then it's beyond the line. But I don't see it so bad if we literally have 19 people standing there next to the raid boss and we don't have anyone that can log on as a tank.
I agree. I mean, like, 20 people is so hard. There's a reason that Mythic raiding guilds are like, applying for a full-time job. I do think that the paying is a little weird, but I have no problem if, like, if you're like, hey, dude that's killed this boss, come help us, we're down a player. Like, I think that's fine.
Okay. What about putting the trinket from Bellerin on reserve for one of the mercenaries as being collateral for helping kill the boss?
That's a thing.
So I don't know exactly what was negotiated, but I do know that after, like, you know how RC Loot Council auto passes all the loot? And so everyone in our guild auto passed the loot except for Drogo, and then Dorky and Goop just need roll on every item that Bellerin drops and proceed to win all 4 of the items.
Surely they didn't get to keep them, right?
I don't know what exactly happened. I think part of the deal maybe was like if they get one or like I don't even know what the deal was. I don't even want to be a part of that. But also there was, speaking of the Get Help raid update, there was something I'm trying to figure out how to word it, but something very funny happened yesterday where, first of all, we had someone who was playing DK normally, like Unholy DK or whatever, start tanking for us, and he just randomly stepped up and is like doing a good job. I don't know if Lura is just way easier to tank or he just owns, but we've had 0 tank problems so far on Lura, which is great. So also, you know how in Lura there are essentially the 5 symbol code that you have, and then you have to, like, everyone lines up and gets in the same order. And on Mythic, you are in separate realms, and it's sort of on specific people to communicate which one is which. So we had a moment where one of the people fumbled or like something happened, but someone else in the raid was paying attention and actually like calmed up and was like trying to communicate what the right order was, like we didn't do the macros properly. This person, who's a really good player, by the way, really like nice, like I have nothing bad to say about this guy. I love this dude. I've done keys with him too, but he has a very thick accent. Like he's not a native English speaker, I don't think. And so when he's trying to yell and communicate like 2 is this, 4 is this, or whatever, but we're like being confused because we can't quite understand exactly what he's saying. And it kind of became like a meme or whatever. And he's been like, he hasn't been taking it wrong. Like he hasn't been like mad about it, but we've kind of joked about it a few times. And then yesterday we had a poll where someone joked about it and was like laughing or whatever. And then he just disappears from the raid and he's just gone. Like he dies, he doesn't take the battle res, and then just is disconnected and is not in Discord. And we're just sitting there like, were we like making him really mad? Like, were we like making fun of him? Because we didn't really mean to, right? And we're just like, I really hope he's, and so we have our raid leader DM him on Discord, no response, and we're just sitting there. He's gone the whole night. Eventually we bring somebody else to like fill his spot, but we're missing his buff and stuff. And so by the end of the night, we basically conclude that like he was actually mad. Like, because you would think that he would DM or respond or say something, right? But we're like, oh, did he just rage quit out of raid? And then we wake up this morning and then we have a DM and he's like, oh, sorry, my internet went out for an hour and then I just went to bed. My bad. Like I couldn't do anything about it. And so actually, no, he wasn't mad. But we had to talk about like, shit, we're being way too mean to this guy. But I actually think the resolution is not that he was mad and he literally just happened to DC immediately after a poll.
Is it somebody that we played Among Us with?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think I know who you might be talking about, but
yeah.
Nah.
I mean, he owns, like, there's literally, like, I have nothing bad about this.
I was trying to think about, because, like, the person that Growl and I played Among Us with, I was like, his accent was not that thick. The fact that they couldn't understand him is miraculous to me.
Yeah, well, so it's also very confusing with the order, right? Because you have 3 different groups of 5 that are doing the symbols, 1 in each realm. And so, for example, let's say I'm in red realm and I see that the other red people are not doing it correctly. I'm sort of like urgently trying to communicate that a mistake is being made, but everyone in blue and everyone in the other realm is totally fine, but they hear me urgently trying to say like, hey, no, this circle is over here or whatever, and it kind of causes, you know what I mean? Like it causes everyone else to worry about what's going on. And that was what was happening. Like he was basically urgently trying to tell 2 people to switch in his realm, but everyone in all the other realms were confused because we're like, oh god, are we not understanding what he's saying? And but actually Prague has been going okay. We're basically through. I think we pretty much know how to do P2. We're still kind of getting the hang of like the dropping the seeds and picking them up or whatever, but we can get through the intermission like, I don't know, maybe every other pull or something, but we haven't gotten into P3 cleanly yet.
This Lura is the type of boss that no matter how far you are in, you could be on a kill pull and you're still wiping in phase 1. And it's,
I don't want to get too much about Lura, but I kind of regret not being a seed carrier. It feels like it's just a completely different fight without being a seed carrier. Like I don't know if I would say it's boring. Like I'm still having fun on it, but I feel bad watching. I don't know. The thing is, it does a lot of damage to you, right? Like, I really don't want to hold that shit as a mage because I'm like so squishy. But in hindsight, I wish I would have done it because I feel like it would have made the fight a lot more fun to be the seed carrier.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, I think I would be bored on Lura if it wasn't for carrying a seed. Because intermission, you just stand there. Phase 1, you just have to dodge waves and do the memory. I mean, phase 3 is a mix-up. I think phase 3 is fine for everybody, but yeah.
Yeah. I'm benched on that boss. I sit in Silvermoon. Like, there's only so many spots on that fight for people who can't do anything. And Moonkin is one of the classes that, well, I don't do damage to the crystals. I can't carry a seed. My boss damage is incredibly middling. What am I going to do? Well, I'm going to sit in Silvermoon, right? I'm going to be AFK on the bench. Which, yeah, pretty valid, I think. Valid to get benched. I'm not even mad about it.
That'll happen. just because there's so much stuff going on, right? Like so many people have to be seed carriers. What is it, 6 or 5 or something
Six,
that is
yeah.
having them? So it's like that's a lot of people having to do jobs.
Listen, I've been benched for a mini boss because of similar reasons where you're like, where do you fit it on the comp? Oh, you don't? I would have been the third buff or something. The third Mark of the Wild buff, and it's like, nah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of like the boss.
My guild's going beast mode on it, though.
Like, at first I was kind of not liking the idea of 6 people carrying the seed, but I almost wonder, what if people are approaching it wrong and you should just have the 6 best people or like the 6 most mobile classes or whatever? You know what I mean? Like,
6 best
I feel like
seed is correct.
I feel like having, at least if I was the encounter designer and I was designing it, I would design it in such a way that, okay, the 6 seeds are for the 6 best people, and it's not necessarily for the 6 tankiest classes, because I feel like it creates like this weird difficult, like every guild has some people who are better job doers than others, and some people who just, want to do mad damage, and that's cool too. And I kind of feel like it's a really interesting encounter design philosophy to have like 6, a certain amount of people in the raid basically playing hard mode or doing a way harder encounter than the other people are. And I actually don't even really mind that, because I think that's kind of how a lot of guilds work out.
I mean, this is the reason you can't put it on your tanks and you can't put it on your DKs, because there's just too much going on as well. Like like I think in a different reality, like if some guilds' best players are their tanks, like their tank, I mean, you can't fucking hold that. The Heavens Lance, I'm pretty sure, procs the Tears of Lura on cooldown, right? So literally impossible for the tanks to carry them in outside of the intermission, I think, right?
But it's fun boss. I've been really, really enjoying it. Lura's been again, I don't know if it's just a DPS thing or a mage thing, but I've really, really been enjoying the raid. I think I've had no major complaints with any boss, and I feel like a lot of the bosses that people don't like, I still am enjoying.
I think my biggest gripe with it is the visual clarity. I think the fight is a problem visually. Growl, have you had the graphic settings conversation with your guild yet?
No, but I realized like 2 days into Prague that I had spell density sent to like everything or whatever, and I was like, oh my gosh. I definitely I'm glad that you mentioned that, because that's something that I want to do, is do a dive and maybe look, because it just feels like a lot of the things are the same color, and they can and also you have these symbols above your head, and that almost like with the boss being the same color and the symbol above your head, sometimes it's like impossible to see a glaive because it's just literally covered by the other things. And I don't know, now I think it's fine because they move slow enough that like, okay, you just pay attention, forehead. But I could understand why the fight, when the glaives were faster and there was more of them, was like infinitely more frustrating.
Like there's a lot of weird shit with visual clarity. Like when the crystals spawn, there's a big purple flashbang that blinds you for a second unless you change your graphic settings. Phase 3, the constellations are hard to see unless you change your graphic settings. The glaives are hidden under the beams. The glaives are hidden under the boss. Like you can name it there. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I think that's kind of been a theme of this expansion, was in War Within. I believe we talked about this on a previous pod, but around the Undermine patch, they really went in a direction where they wanted all the visual clarity to be better, but like more defined, I guess. And we maybe chalk that up to being, okay, well, it's just the theme of Undermine is like they had a lot more colors to work with and things to do. But it feels like even Mana Forge or whatever had pretty good visual clarity. But I think they kind of decided that no, they don't like the way the game looks when everything is so well defined and you can see the exact edges of everything and there's lots of different colors. Like I think they really prefer to have a theme and have it look cool rather than play or optimize for playability.
All right. So this week we're going to be talking about, we have a lot of Q&A. We fielded a lot of Q&A. We were a little bit light on content. So we went through and we actually got a bunch of questions to talk about. At the same time, there is some stuff that we actually need to discuss from just community posts. And next week, I think we might have a guest on, so it'll be a really fun episode next week. But this week we have the Sporefall. We got actually a decent amount of announcements related towards the Sporefall with some of the rewards that the Sporefall was going to be giving, where the gear that is dropped off the boss, if you end up killing it on Mythic, it will end up dropping Myth Track Woo gear, and there's additional bonus rolls that can be obtained from killing the boss in the Sporefall, which that's a lot of gear. I will say it is coming out in a 0.7 patch. At the same time, this is a lot of gear, kind of sparking the question again. One that we've had basically this entire expansion is gearing too quick. Where now we're going to have Woo Myth Track gear, which seems insane. At the same time, it is on a 0.7 patch. So maybe there is something to be said about that. I mean, Squishy, what's your kind of gut read on this entire thing?
Whatever, honestly. I feel like I'm not sure. I mean, I'll probably play the raid. I'll probably kill the raid, and then maybe it's good for gearing up ults after. That's about it.
Wait,
they needed something.
Are these random stats?
They are random stats as well. Yeah.
Oh, what boy. In the world?
So like, I think it'll be cool for certain people. They needed a reward that wasn't a better reward. Otherwise, people would complain that they feel forced to do this.
Yes.
But I don't know that this is not necessarily a better reward. So now people are like, are people actually going to do this?
Yeah, I think it isn't as related to the idea of gearing now because it's so late into the patch, right? By the time this comes out, most people who have been playing the game and are doing these hard bosses should be expected to be mostly in full Myth Track gear, even in previous expansions, you know, basically since crafting has come out or the vault has been massively improved. I like the idea. Like Squishy said, it's an interesting middle ground where it's something that a lot of people might think is good and might want to use, but at the same time, if you're somebody who's done for the patch, you're not going to feel like, oh god, I got to log back in and do this raid for next tier or whatever. It'll essentially be not worthless, but if you already have Myth Track gear on your guy and you're happy with it, you don't really feel the need to go back.
Yeah.
It definitely it brings into question the idea of these 0.7 raids though, right? Because I feel like for a lot of people that this raid is for, I don't know if it will bring them back before the major patch. Does that make sense? Like if somebody is not a very committed Mythic Raider who's still logging in every week, I feel like a lot of those people have kind of checked out and have moved on maybe for Midnight and they're waiting for the next like major content patch. Not everybody obviously, but for example, if you're like an AOTC guild, once you get AOTC and you're kind of done, you're like, is this one boss like Mythic Flex thing really going to bring people back? And I kind of worry then that the participation of this is going to be low and it might give them Blizzard, the wrong message that, oh, people don't really care about this. But I mean, it's kind of weird, right? Because ultimately a cool content does have to be paired with a cool reward. And I feel like now that we're seeing the plans for this and it landing, we're discovering maybe why they don't do this or didn't do this in the past is how do they tie this to a good reward that's going to be compelling.
It's definitely a cool value add for the people who are already playing. Something that's also happening. Yeah, something that's also happening in the 0.7 patch is there's like additional power that's gained. I don't know where I had this in our show notes.
Is the Omnium or
oh, I found it. Here we go. Yeah. There was like some random blue post. They talked about this folio that we are going to be getting some amount of power in, and realistically, I think that it is a good value add for the people who are already playing, and I think it makes sense for them. At the same time, yeah, I think this is a tricky thing to get right to be like, oh, this is super compelling to try to push for. Because Woo gear for my alt on a 0.7 when the patch is almost over feels a little bit... It's not rewarding enough, but Blizzard's already kind of in this weird situation. I don't know.
Well, think about how crazy bonus rules are for an alt, right? Yeah, I just started gearing some other characters, and so if you play AUG, you know that there's a bunch of good items in Pit, and that's usually where you send your bonus rolls, especially if you're a fresh character. And I'm like sitting here every single time I do a pit, I get a myth track piece.
Correct.
Right? Like think about that. Every single time I do that dungeon, I get a myth track piece for like basically the entire loot pool. Because
And
when this episode is released, right, we're gonna have 6 bonus roll tokens. So you will get 6 myth track items from your first 6 pits. So like any alt that you're playing, I mean, even myth track items are basically raining down, which again, I don't even know if we're necessarily complaining. I'm just kind of pointing out it feels different.
yep. I mean, and it's bad. There's catch up on it too. So like in 5 weeks, you're gonna have like 12 bonus rolls or something. Probably like
Wait, there's ketchup on it?
yes, full catch up as long as you
Really?
pay every
yeah.
time.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
you can just go to the vendor and just buy all your tokens.
Huh.
So like in 5 weeks the cap's gonna be like 14 bonus rolls. So if you do 14 pits, you get 14 bonus rolls. I mean, you probably wouldn't run it 14 times, but like
You can fully outfit your character.
correct. You do have to pay every time. Not that that's like a big deal, but like
Avoid like moral.
5K, Marl for some people, gold for others, like veteran crest for others.
Crests, yeah.
Like those.
It's interesting. I think that Blizzard's in a really weird spot trying to nail down satisfying rewards for the players currently, especially gear-related, satisfying gear-related rewards. I think that they've actually kind of been in a weird spot where it doesn't feel like there's a unified identity on, and I think it really kind of comes back to that comment that we were discussing like a few weeks ago about some people want to play for 100 hours and some people want to play for 500 hours. And I feel like Blizzard's really struggling to kind of nail down like how long-term and how repeatable they're going to be able to make the content and the rewards that fit that level of repeatable content.
Yeah.
The progression feels a little weird too, because
Yeah.
I feel like in 10s and 12s, where essentially you'd be farming for gear and doing these things on alts, the competition is really, really high. No, like it feels like it's still not super easy to get into those keys, even though it's really easy to complete them. And you're basically bottlenecked by tanks, right? Like if you're a tank, you basically just take 3 overqualified people and then go in every time. And because gearing is so easy, like I kind of find myself on a character, right? Basically, I'm like 255 item level, and well, in theory, I could do 10s, but because gear is so easy, I'm still behind, right? Like, even though you would think that, oh, I got a guy 255 in 1 day or whatever, like, I should, but I'm still behind everybody else because everybody else has infinite myth track loot too. And it's like, it's almost a weird state where if you're not like 275 plus item level, you like don't even get accepted into 12s or 10s or whatever, even though people were literally doing those at like 250 in the first week.
Myth of the Dawn, a lot of people have unlocked Myth of the Dawn this most recent week, or they're probably going to be unlocking it this week. And it's like, dude, especially on an alt, you could just like snap your fingers and then just immediately spawn them in at like 282, 283 maybe, something like that, which is crazy to think about, that you can just like gear a character that quickly. Really is. It's tough. I mean, it's tough for Blizzard. I think that they're kind of in a disconnected state where, I just don't feel like the rewards are that unified for what's going on. I mean, Growl was talking. God, it was you that was in voice talking about Myth Track 2 with me, right, the other day.
Yeah, well, it was just funny. Basically, we were talking about the idea that like, okay, everyone wanted all this hero track gear, right? People were like, oh, give us gear from delves and all these other sources, make Mythic Plus easy. But now it makes hero track gear feel like nothing, right? Like hero track gear is like literally rains from the skies from anything that you do, right? And now people are suggesting, oh, they need to up the rewards of heroic raid. And it's like, well, that's just undoing what we just did. Like, in order to making the top gear easier to get, by definition, invalidates the content that you're doing to get that gear, right? And it's like, I was basically joking that we're gonna go full circle now and say that, oh, myth track gear is too easy to get, and they're gonna create myth 2 as the new track as a reward from raids, and we're gonna end up right back to where we started.
Oh, that was off of was that a Taliesin and Evitel interview? That, oh god, where did that come from? I can't even remember.
Which one?
Their comment was like, yeah, basically that heroic raids weren't rewarding enough or whatever, and like, what are they going to do about it? I think
Yeah,
that's
essentially, like I think they wanted to make the last some amount of bosses in heroic drop myth track gear or give myth track gear from vault was I think the solution, and it's like
yeah.
we're people see that as well, we're improving the rewards, but effectively we're just going backwards.
The entire thing is, I think, is kind of different this tier. I mean, we've talked about. I mean, even Skarzard when he quit or had that interview with Potty C was like, "Yeah, Mythic Plus is too rewarding,"
Yeah.
and now they made Mythic Plus even more rewarding.
I think it really comes down to one simple fact is I think it's actually the tracks. I think it's like myth track gear. Like the entire track itself, the fact that you can use crests to be able to get every piece of like no piece of gear is individually more valuable than the others, right? It doesn't drop at a higher item level. It's not more difficult to achieve because in the past, like in say Dragonflight before the crests or Shadowlands or whatever, a piece off of Sired and Athreus or whatever, it would just drop at that item level. And like I think that the tracks of gear are almost the fundamental issue here.
I imagine if there was something weird like Raid could go over the track or something. Like it could go hero 8 of 6 or
what
something.
do we have tracks for? Like what the?
I don't know.
Yeah,
like, but you think about it like.
We'll
if
call
you
it
were looking
void
for quantity
form.
of load,
Myth
like
2.
like there was somewhat a balance before where Mythic Plus was where you went to get hero gear. Raid was the place where you get myth gear.
Yeah.
Now you just go to Mythic Plus for gear, right? Like Raid, you don't bother gearing in Raid, really.
I do wonder, like, man, I think that the conversation for the longest time was that like pushing higher levels of Mythic Plus should be more rewarding, and I don't think they ever actually solved that problem, right? The fact that Mythic Plus players who are pushing keys should get rewarded similar in some capacity to those who are pushing deep into the Mythic Raid, where, yeah, Mythic Plus is, I would argue, still too rewarding, but not in the ways that, like, Mythic Plus players really want or should be rewarded.
How would you feel if the Great Vault for Mythic Plus didn't award higher track loot?
It didn't?
But they extended the rewards track to 18 like they did on the beta. I don't know that solves the problem. Never mind. That's a stupid idea.
Yeah, I don't think it
Wait,
solves the problem either.
Isn't the track to 18? Isn't that dropping myth track gear?
Yeah, but then it's still infinitely farmable.
The
That's
problem
a
with
problem.
Mythic Plus is that it's infinitely farmable. This is like the core of the issue with Mythic Plus is that it is an infinitely farmable gear source in a game that has time-gated gear sources everywhere else.
Yeah, I just think that the paradigm of gearing has changed, and the idea of this person is more skilled or puts way more time into it and then is rewarded with more gear is just gone. And I think a lot of the community is happy about that, right? Like, essentially the whole gearing process, this expansion has been time gated, but if you're playing the game even a reasonable amount, you get the gear, right? Like, you basically start off with the the early access, and then you have access to like the very low track gear, and then just the hero raid comes out, and that's relevant for just that week, and then dungeons come out, and then it's what I mean, and then they have the bonus rolls and the other stuff to let you get your myth track stuff. Then they add you get to upgrade your weapon and trinkets. Like, it's essentially just everybody sort of has the same gear. The problem that I see with this system that I've been kind of basically the people who play a lot and are like quote unquote better or whatever and better guilds are always going to seek to find ways to get more gear and have more gear than everybody else, right? Like, we see this, what essentially what Liquid and Echo do, right, with splits and crest guys and stuff. And I think actually we might see Evade kind of convinced me on this, that I think we might actually see more people going to that now. Like, now that doing 10s on the first day isn't really that big of an achievement, and now that Mythic Raid gear isn't really that gate kept, I feel like the next step might be, okay, you go into a season and you make 2 mages, and the first mage is your crest guy, and then on week 3 you swap to your third mage or whatever, or your second mage who has the crest discount just to get better gear or whatever. And I guess sort of what I'm saying is like the nerds are always going to be degenerate and do stuff to try and get better gear, and I kind of wonder where this path is going to go, where Blizzard is basically trying to do everything they can to not let you. Oh, I have if you're somebody who plays the game, you're always going to be close in gear parity to the next person, aside from okay, maybe week 2 when you're comparing somebody to somebody in Liquid who's doing all this degen stuff. But you know what I mean? Like I think more people are going to start doing this degen stuff.
I do think the degen stuff is I feel like it's a little bit of a boogeyman argument where it's just like it doesn't. It's like it's like a Disneyland argument. It just doesn't exist in reality type of thing. Where it's like, I mean, sure, you can do that, but it's like, it's really like the amount of people that can, but mostly the amount of people that would do something like that feels incredibly low.
Well, I guess I just see the way that things are progressing in terms of Mythic guilds, right? How so many guilds are adding more hours, adding more splits. Now we're at the point where we're splitting Mythic, and you can, again, I sort of brought up the point previously that I don't think this is a function of Blizzard's design or whatever. I think this is literally just people optimizing the hell out of how they get gear. And I mean, I really think that like the next logical progression step is you go into a patch with 2 characters and then you literally raid both raids as splits, and then one of your characters doesn't spend crests, and then you just like strategically figure out how to do your gear so that you have more gear than other people. I mean, how you're shaking your head, but I mean, WoW players are so try hard.
It's true.
Like WoW players are so tryhard. You know that they're going to keep trying to find new ways to have more gear than somebody else.
You're absolutely right. I do think it's possible that people start doing this. I would be I guess I would say I'd be surprised if that is the way that people continue to move forward. It's kind of like the same reason that you don't see a 21st man in most raiding guilds, even though it's optimal. It's because it just fucking sucks more than anything else. Like it's just not fun to do that. And my bigger complaint with the rewards is that like it doesn't feel that fun to get some of the rewards anymore. Like that's kind of the core of the gear rewards specifically, right? Like I think that there's interesting chase stuff. Like I think that like killing a mythic end boss feels just as rewarding as it always has been. I think that, really pushing yourself for titles and accolades in Mythic Plus feels just as rewarding as it always has been. I think it's the gear itself. I'm not really ever hyped to get the gear. That's kind of my problem with it, but what you're saying, there is a world where that could be true. I find it hard to rebuttal that argument.
People are going to optimize the fuck out of the game. That's it. Full stop.
Yeah, I do want to echo your point though that you said, because I know there's people already that are mad in the comments about you saying that Mythic Plus is too rewarding, and really Titles' main point there is not so much that, it's more so that like we, as an RPG player, we want the gear to feel good, right? We want to kill a raid boss, and then the first thing you think of is not, oh, where's my parse? It's, oh god, what did the boss drop? Like how did we get to this point where you don't even look at the loot that the boss drops when you kill it in a raid, and you're just alt-tabbed on Warcraft logs, and that's the only thing that matters. But maybe this is just the new paradigm where you only play the game for the sake of playing it. I just think that I don't know if the gameplay in the game is that good that if you take away the gear dopamine loop in there, that everyone will have as much fun. Like I kind of think it might be like the slow downfall.
Yeah, I mean that's fuck. I find it, that is a very interesting thought. I have not given that a bunch of consideration about the future of the game if they try to optimize it like that. It's more to me just like, I would prefer the game have more longevity on a per patch basis. Like that, I really enjoy playing every patch hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours, and I want to log in. And like I want to log in every single day and have something that I can do. Like that is what I desire, but then the game is not exactly designed like that, which isn't me saying that I'm not having fun playing the current iteration of the game. I think that Blizzard's made a really good lobby game. It's more just like there's a threshold at which I no longer log in, which wasn't always true with what World of Warcraft was to me. And so it's like, that's kind of my thoughts.
A big thing with the game was gear is like the number one chase for players. And now that people are finishing their gear faster, they're running out of chase goals, which means they go do something else.
Yes.
Which is probably why 3400 became a thing.
I think that Blizzard was smart to create the 1% title in 3400. I think that those are
completely agree.
bangers. I think we are as a whole like huge ups on those.
As a side note, by the way. Oh, go ahead, Growl.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, that's the direction that Blizzard needs to go. I'm not saying that this shouldn't be the direction that the game goes, but if they are taking away this gear dopamine, then they really need to consider all, how do they keep people in the patch and playing the patch, and if not using gear rewards, that's like hard, right? Like essentially giving people gear that's better than their current gear is like the cheat code to getting people to do stuff, right? Like you can anything in the game, if it had no gear rewards versus if it had gear rewards, the participation would go up like infinite %, right?
Yeah.
And so for them to, their job now is they have to create things and goals and achievements and that are compelling that are not gear in this new paradigm. And I just think it's hard. Like it's a tough task, and we're seeing, not the greatest quality patches roll out, and I'm kind of, I guess, concerned that that might not happen.
Yeah. I wonder what they could do to incentivize raiding, though. Because they clearly hit the incentive with Mythic Plus. But they're kind of lacking that raid incentive other than just for the love of the game or for a spot on the leaderboards. I feel
well,
like
that's the point, right? They're taking it away. Like the idea back in the day, right? Old WoW was an MMO, and you start the game as a single player, but ultimately you sort of get tricked into grouping up and playing with other people, right? And finding a guild and finding a community with the hopes that you will actually be tricked into having more fun with that community that you wouldn't have otherwise engaged in. And now we're kind of at a state where people are just saying, look, I don't want to be a part of a community, and Blizzard says, okay, you don't have to, and you can log on the game and be by yourself and do whatever you want, right? Like we're entering an area where you are not incentivized to work together and play with people, right? Obviously when we're talking about, oh, I want to achieve this mythic raid rank, or I want to be the 1% title or 0.1%, you're always going to be aided by grouping up with people and getting better, but the main like I feel like there's like a weird jump there, right? Where the main game, it never really pushes you to encourage you to group up with people until you decide that you have these goals. But I kind of wonder, like, okay, if someone's brand new to WoW and they start playing the game by themselves, how do they get that goal of wanting to get a 0.1% title or being in a mythic raid guild? Like, why would any brand new player? I don't know. Maybe there's still some appeal. I just don't know. But for me, obviously, like the carrot on the stick was always like, oh, get better gear and stuff. Like that's the very baseline one that every person that installs the game can understand.
Mine was always I want to kill bosses earlier. I think that was always the interesting one to me. Like I wanted to push myself to kill bosses earlier and earlier, but like I think for most people they probably don't have, like, that was like almost internal motivation as opposed to motivation that's given through extrinsic rewards, right?
Right, that's like the competitive player in us, right? Like,
yes,
no matter what game that we play, we're going to look at the World First Guild and be like, oh, that's cool.
I get as close as possible, right? Yeah,
exactly. But I think for most people, they're playing an RPG and they're like, okay, here's my character. I want to be a cool Death Knight.
Yeah.
And like, how do I be a cool Death Knight? And like, but I could be wrong, right? Maybe I'm underestimating or not understanding the motivations of most people. But, if the quest to being a really cool and powerful Death Knight doesn't involve finding a guild or grouping up with people or doing stuff and just kind of like doing your own thing, I don't know if they're going to enter that road.
Okay. We're done on the Sporefall? Any final thoughts?
So. Okay. Yeah, somehow the conversation about the Sporefall 0.7 flex raid boss turned into that, but I think it's very interesting to think about the reward. I mean, that's something that we kind of learned as the bench, like the whole way, right? Is when we first started, we were correctly almost a little bit detached, right? We didn't understand how important rewards really were, and how, like, back when we were talking about, what was it, the Molten Core raid or the BWL raid or whatever,
yeah.
And we're just like, this is fun, and people are like, what do you mean it's fun? You don't get shit for rewards for it, and we're like, huh. Yeah,
You're
I guess
right.
We don't care about. We have infinite rewards, so we don't care about the rewards. But most people do, and I'm like, something to think about.
Okay.
All right.
We had some raid tuning and some class tuning that happened this week. Basically, the most important things are that Unholy and Devour ended up getting nerfed. Those are probably the two premier specializations in Mythic Plus. I think Augmentation Evoker got a very small nerf. Outlaw Rogue got randomly fucked for some reason, and then pretty much everything else just got...
Crossmage also randomly got nerfed.
Yeah, I don't really know what's going on with that one either. And then everything else got buffed. The largest nerfs were to like Outlaw Rogue and Frostmage, right?
I mean, Devour needed the nerf, which is like 5% or something, which is fine. They'll still be really good. This I'm pretty sure doesn't even fully offset their buffs in the 1205 patch. The Frostmage nerf makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah.
The Rogue thing is interesting.
So what happened was, these notes for Rogue read that all damage is increased by 5%, but Cloud Cover got shot, basically, which was the trickster hero talent that made them decent. I would not describe them as OP. I would describe them as very decent. And that ended up getting nerfed. So this ended up being, from what I've seen, numbers-wise, about a 5% damage nerf, which is kind of funny. Then we had a little bit of tank tuning, rather. And yeah...
it's a whole lot of
nothing.
Yeah.
Base armor increased by 10% for Prot Paladin. Oh, not bad.
Oh, man.
Oh, baby. You're going to get beat down by white swings a little bit less. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
the meta's
there's
kind
some
of
weird
set,
stuff going on with this patch. I feel like they incorrectly buffed all of the Mythic Plus meta specs in 12.0.5, and this patch is basically coming in to correct a lot of those changes.
Yeah.
I think a couple notable ones are I don't think Druid is necessarily that big of an outlier as a healer anymore. I think Druid works really well with Brewmaster, but ultimately, like, now that Brewmaster got a slight touch and also Druid got a slight touch, we were already seeing some other like goofy comps like Bear and Mistweaver, and Resto Shaman was popping up, and I think we might see more and more of those. It might be a little bit too late in the season for people to do this, but I'm really interested as to if people do weird stuff in MDI, and also if people, because rerolling is so easy now, right? If people start deciding I'm going to try other comps. I've been seeing a lot of like, tank and healer players I know seeming to gear up alts because number one, they're just super easy to gear up, and number two, maybe like this comp that people are running isn't necessarily the best one. Frost Mage got nerfed, which fucking sucks because Mage is already not doing great.
Is this 0 runs for Blood DK and Prot Paladin? Am I reading this right?
Yeah, so one of the biggest things about tanks right now is I think most tanks would say that Brewmaster doesn't even really feel OP in the same way that in other patches like Vengeance DH with all of its CC might have felt oppressive, or Blood DK when it was like invulnerable and required no healing. Like Brewmaster really isn't at that stage right now. It just is reasonably tanky is sort of how it feels, and its damage is good. So nerfing Brewmaster rather than buffing the other tanks is kind of like annoying, right? Because tanks have always been like, make us stronger, make us stronger, make us stronger. And it's like, okay, well now the tanks are weaker because now they're nerfing Brewmaster. So it's not to say that Brew wasn't the best tank, but more so that we were hoping for more buffs to the other tanks rather than a touch on Brewmaster.
Yeah, I feel after playing with a Bear, like I know Bears for like 6 weeks were having issues with threat. Like that's an insane amount of time for them to fix this. Why did that take so long? And then like 10% base armor to Paladin, it's like great. Like that definitely solves their problems.
They don't know anything about tank tuning. I think that tank balance is kind of the issue of whenever you have a season that is hard to tank or hard to heal, is the imbalances in tank survivability get heavily fixated on, right? Because right now healer balance is pretty good. So you actually see multiple representation. You see decent representation from multiple healer specializations. But whenever one tank has +1 to +1.5 key levels over the other tanks from a survivability perspective, and it's a hard season to tank, which is I think a key variable here, the other tanks are completely lost in terms of like they don't have identity. Because the Brewmaster is the best thing to play in all situations. It's not just like specific situations.
Yeah, and it just lives through a bunch of the tank busters, right? Like,
yeah,
you just live.
I think that this is more of a... This isn't like super surprising. I actually think that the season's quite fun to play. There's always going to be a meta. It's kind of how I view it. I feel like we talk circularly about the problems in the meta regularly. there's always going to be a difficult part of the season. There's always going to be a meta, and there's always going to be solutions to try to counteract what is the limiting factor that season. I mean, this season it's tank survivability and it's healing throughput, and a lot of the healers can actually hit the healing throughput checks. It's just really skillful. And the tanks, on the other hand, one of them can and the other one can't. Or the other ones can't, so you just end up playing brew. That's how it is.
Yeah, balance isn't so bad. To me, the biggest problem right now is how tanky some classes are compared to other classes, and how big of a difference that is to healers. Like, I was talking to a chatter and, you know, podcast listener probably, but he's basically saying like, oh, I'm really struggling at, you know, whatever key level, you know, you start getting into higher keys, and then you take a look at some of the comps that you play, and it's like, you're playing without a DK and a Devour Demon Hunter. Like, yeah, this is going to be way harder to heal, you know, like a lot of strategy on healing these bosses is, okay, you have your third guy, whether it's like an AUG or a mage or something, and you pour your life bloom and all your healing on them. The two melee or the DK and the DH are just invulnerable, and then all you have to do is figure out how to live yourself, right? And you have like frenzy regen and stuff. But the way that Druid healing is kind of structured, it is weird where it has a lot of like, you know, whoever life bloom is so powerful right now. So the one person that you have your life bloom on is getting so much healing relative to most seasons. And now that, you know, there are classes that don't need healing, it's like, okay, well, if you only need to put your life bloom on one guy, it becomes infinitely easier to get through some of these checks. And also, I think it's just sort of an easier season than it's ever been for DPS if you can live, right? Like, living is the only hard part for DPS. It's not a matter of like needing to do complex CC chains or having tough jobs or a lot of interrupt coordination, right? They kind of removed all of that. Like, it is just basically live is the problem now.
Yeah.
And living is not balanced in the slightest.
No, it's
Shout out Devour Demon Hunters.
I mean, we talked about it last week when I was talking about my journey healing, and one of the things that I realized the most was that it actually matters a lot more who you invite this season as a healer, because there are two classes that have god tier survivability, and then there is everybody else, and it is not close.
Yeah, maybe that's just healer speak, but it definitely is really, really noticeable this season.
Yeah. Yeah, there was also tuning to Crown of the Cosmos and Bellerin. I mean, these were just like nerfs to both of these fights. I think the big nerf is to Bellerin. Now the egg recast, or the egg cast, is now 40 seconds. And so I think that this is actually a pretty big deal for a lot of guilds who aren't going to be running like the perfect composition. They should be able to two-phase this fight pretty convincingly at this point. It's not making the boss really that much easier from like a mechanics check level, but I do think that the 10-second longer cast on the intermissions is a huge deal for damage check.
Yes, but it's 10 more seconds of pretty high HPS, which I think some people are overlooking. Especially if you're 3 healing. That extra 10 seconds, you're running out of cooldowns now.
Yeah, it's possible.
I mean, I don't think anybody was ever actually pressing their health stone or health potion in my guild in that intermission.
I don't think anybody was either. We were setting for the healing absorb.
Yeah, we just YOLO use it in P2 on the healing absorb, which is like fine. I think you could, if you want like hard set, like,
I think it'll be okay.
Potion here. Yeah, I think this is fine. I mean, you're getting 1% stronger per week too. Like, I don't know. This fight's going to be easier, I think.
I think it is too.
Yeah.
And people are already. I don't know if you know, stacking their entire raid in both the soaks at the same time. No immunes anymore.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm biased here, but just because, okay, my guild is done with it, and now I'm like, I deem the fight as okay. But to me, these are nerfs that are more like charity nerfs in a way. Like, with everyone's gear getting better, and you have the Void Forge coming up, and you're about to empower your weapon, like, and, you know, all the bonus rolls, and the stacking raid buff that you get 1% per week. Like, is this damage check, like, do they really need to do this? Like, I guess I just question, like, it feels like not too long ago we were talking about how Illyria was an underwhelming fight or too easy, and now they're nerfing it, and it's like, I mean, I don't know. It just feels like to me the point of the stacking raid buff is so that they don't have to do these nerfs, right? Like, if they thought the fight was bad, why didn't they do this before? Like, is this not just, I'm gonna make this boss easier now for all the guilds before it, and not really like, I think do they think the encounter is better now after these changes, or is this specifically just, we're making the boss easier?
I think for me, Illyria got that buff that we talked about last week. I think was last week. I don't remember.
reverted
They
that, I
buffed it
think,
when
didn't
Hall of
they?
Fame closed. No, they nerfed it again. So they nerfed it 10% when they fixed the immunities. They nerfed it by 10% again, and it still sucked because more than anything, it wasn't necessarily about the damage. It was about the timing of the breaks because you just bursted yourself down. I think this might be compensation, a little bit of compensation for that. But I do think that this addresses more than just HPS and DPS check stuff. They do hit that here. But Illyria specifically, if you missed a single arrow in phase 2, you just pushed out of phase 2 early.
Yeah.
And this fixes that. And I think that's fair. Like, I think that is a fair change. I think increasing the time between when the sim spawns and when the lieutenant spawns, also a good change. Because that timing is pretty tight. So, those changes I'm okay with. But I do agree with Growl. I do think it's a little weird. But maybe they see different data.
Yeah, and I guess maybe if you're in a guild that is currently progressing on Illyria or below, maybe you just are just happy about this regardless. I don't know. I guess I'd be interested to hear somebody who's on Illyria right now. If you're like, hey, do you feel the same way that Zorthus felt when he tweeted, right? Because ultimately every guild sort of wants to do better than they did last tier, and they have competition with guilds that are similar to them. And I would assume that many more guilds would feel the exact same way that Zorthus feels of like, hey, I was looking forward to doing this boss that is at my skill level, and now you're just nerfing it, and I don't get to have this shared experience of all these other players now. Or if it's just, hey, fuck it, we don't care, and then now they're making it easier to farm for all the guilds that have already killed it, right? Because ultimately, I bet a lot of guilds are not killing Illyria right now, right? Because why bother? Because you're progressing on Dalaran and Lura, and it's like one boss worth of gear for a hard boss to re-clear.
Yeah. Okay. Squishy, I have an interesting question. So I was reading Wildhead today, and I saw this post. It says this housing engagement... player housing engagement after Midnight's launch, does it need player power? Talking about basically what is enticing
crazy
people to,
article title, by the way.
Yes, by the way, insane article title. But talking about how it's enticing and how to incentivize players to continue to play with player housing. I feel like for me, and at least all the people that I've seen engage with player housing was this thing that you did one time, you built your house, and then you almost never engaged with it again in any capacity. Is this what players kind of imagined housing to be? Like, what exactly is going on with housing? Like, are there housing mains that are constantly tweaking and updating their house? Because I feel like pretty much everybody I know built their house one time, never go in there again, and that's pretty much it, right?
So, I think there is some subset of players that still enjoy housing.
Okay.
But I think there is a large number of users who started engaging with the system and then found there was no reason to engage with the system ever again. I think that's about where I believe the community is right now. At least, especially stuff in our circles. You know, even like Hippo built a pretty cool house, and I don't know that he's touched it recently. And from my experience with housing, I do think there needs to be some reason to go back, no matter how small it is. You don't need to get a piece of gear by going back every day or whatever, but I do think there needs to be some reason to go back. Like, you know that weekly housing quest?
Yeah, why?
In terms of resources spent, I do think they probably need people to
because this is the housing expansion, and most people are done with it now.
Yes,
and they need to get their money's worth.
Think about it, right? Midnight. What did they announce it with? Apex talents. Woohoo! Like, people hate those things, right? What else did they announce it with? Housing. Some people enjoy it. Happy for them.
Okay.
But the majority that was supposed to be their headliner. Prey. They nerfed it in the last patch, and now people already hated it, but they just did it because it was quick and gave rewards.
I think Silvermoon might be too good.
Like, Silvermoon's a fucking banger.
Yeah, like I wonder if Silvermoon's too good as a capital city where nobody wants to engage with their house. I think that the problem with housing, at least in that aspect, is that it's not cool to just be AFK in your house. Most people are not just AFKing in their house; they're AFKing in Silvermoon, right?
I think Blizzard is so scared of having Garrisons 2.0 that they unintentionally crippled their own system.
I think that
Okay.
First of all, I actually don't really like Silver Moon. I think Silver Moon is not my favorite city. I love the Blood
Really?
Elf aesthetic, but I personally don't think. I don't know. I just it just doesn't do it for me.
That's fair.
I'm also interested on people's opinions on Silver Moon. Like I think I was like, oh man, this is super cool. You know, Blood Elf and old school stuff. But then as soon as it wore off, I'm like, I don't really know how I feel about this city. Also, I think the big thing is that there's nothing to do in your house, right? Like you essentially you build your house and then that's it. And I think that they can both help grow the community of people doing things in their house, like maybe have some sort of group finder window or encourage some sort of, because like, you know, basically RP stuff, right? People that like to build things and they want people to come hang out in their house, right? Ultimately, I think that they went way too conservative and like Care Bear with how they did, like, locking your house in private neighborhoods and all that. But now it's like you just sit in your house and nobody goes there, right? Like, how do you get people to go to your house, or how do you find other people's houses to go to when you're bored or whatever? Also too, I think that they can do like things in the house, right? Like, for instance, maybe have some sort of profession or relate it to herbalism or gardening or something, and give you some reason to like visit your house every day, sort of like the mop, the tillers or whatever, right? Like have some sort of thing there. Maybe even have some sort of like mount thing or whatever. Like, what if there's a mount that lives at your house and is outside, and you like take care of it, and you can like do stuff to like change its color or make it bigger or smaller, or like do stuff to it, right? And it's like the way that you take care of your mount and visit your like at your house is like impacts the mount that you ride out in the world. I just think that they need, just like, they hit it out of the park, I think, with the building aspect of it. And like, you know, we've seen some crazy ass shit. Anybody who's been on YouTube, or I think Max had a cool video like it, you know, the building part of it is great, and now they need to build out like, okay, what do you do in your house? How do you get people to start a club that happens every Friday, that random civilians that don't even know about it somehow can find in trade chat or find in the LFG window and show up and meet people and RP? Because like, you know, it's sort of like Goldshire, right? Like you can show up to Goldshire and it's like a thing, right? Like even people like us who don't know anything know about the memes of the RPers in Goldshire. Like, how do you turn player housing into that, where people just know that and they can find those things? I don't think like player power. I think they need to be very careful. Or like,
I don't know about player power.
In general, giving people a reason to go, that if they're WoW players and all they care about is raids and dungeons, you know, I don't think that those people would or should be involved in housing, really, unless they decide they want to.
Do you remember the follower table BS that we had in like BFA and Legion? I wonder if they brought that back, if it would like solve that.
The mobile phone game?
Well, okay.
Yes.
Don't put it on your fucking phone. First off, that is stupid. But yes, that one.
I mean, I don't disagree with that. And when I think of player power, like, I don't necessarily think player power needs to go with it. But I do think there needs to be some quality of life or some reason to go to your fucking plots. I've said this since the start.
Yeah.
I think they're so scared of garrisons that they don't want any reason to go to your plot whatsoever. Even if you had the fucking mop farming tillers plot where you can plant, 8 ores a day and collect 8 ores every day, people would at least go to their house every day. And then they might actually do something in their outdoors because they visited every day. I think WildStar did that, where you could kind of plant stuff. Somebody else could come and mine for you if you weren't around. They get a portion of the mining stuff for you, and everybody's happy. Like, I think there's reasons to go to player housing that aren't directly tied to player power. I think they need to invest in those, especially with how much effort they keep putting in the systems, because player housing is really good. The problem is, as we've talked about many times now, gear is the main motivator alongside player power and progression.
Yes.
And player housing does absolutely nothing of that. And I'm worried if there is a lack of interest in the system, Blizzard might give up on the feature altogether.
It's really hard because we were talking about how it can be hard for them to design systems around gear. One thing I was thinking about a few days ago is also the idea that for most people, I feel like the WoW economy is kind of a joke. Like, in order to make money, I would say a majority of people either just buy WoW tokens to get gold or do sales. I think there's probably a very small percent of the population who actually like does professions or finds ways to make gold other, and then buys stuff or does stuff with it. And so I think something like housing, it shows that, well, because WoW isn't an MMO, it's hard to kind of get this stuff going about like, oh, ores on plots or herbs or whatever. Because ultimately, like, even with that, which sounds cool and in theory should work, I think a majority of people just wouldn't care, right? Like, it just has to be literally like as easy as possible, free
Yeah.
gold, do nothing, or people wouldn't do it because the economy is so inflated that you can buy a WoW token for $20. Like, think about how many hours it would take you to herb that amount versus just spending $20 on a WoW token. And it's basically like, why would I ever do that? And it's just, again, something that they can't really undo now that they went in this direction with the game. And it's like, yeah, now it's very hard to incentivize. How do you incentivize things like player housing when you can't, like, gold isn't really a reward, player power isn't really a reward, like, you just have to make it good, I guess.
I mean, I think this kind of comes down to like hearing you guys talk about it. Like, I don't engage with the housing because I just don't care. But like, it seems to me like they tried to create housing for everybody, and in the process, almost ended up creating it for nobody, right? In kind of this weird way where it's like,
yeah, I still think there are some people. I think there's definitely some
people.
percentage of people that, oh, I log in and I just, like the starters
way
alley,
more mount
like,
collectors than I know housing mains, right? Like
that is true.
Orders
that
of
is
magnitude
true.
more. Like, and they're not actually the same people.
I'm maybe gonna make fun of people right now, but I just think it's funny
boy.
thinking back.
Okay.
How many people were collecting decor and cared so much about decor in the pre-patch and were literally like, oh, I gotta do this achievement and do this and get all this decor, and literally now it's just like, I hate to overuse the word slop, but like, do you care about any of this stuff that you have and any of these decor pieces? Like, it just like, people are like passing it now at the end of dungeons. Like, I remember when it first came out, everyone thought it was so cool, and now it's like literally just, it's like an annoying pop-up menu in a mobile game that you're just trying to get rid of to play the game.
God, they got rid of it being like need greed pass, right? Thank God it's just now part of personal loot that spawns in the chest for Mythic Plus.
Yeah, I want player housing to succeed. I think there's incredible creations out there, and I know there's established communities out there. I think there are ways to incentivize more people to participate in the system that does not negatively affect the people that already enjoy it. I think that's basically the crux of my argument, I think.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no, I think, if anything, like, I think they would enjoy it more, right? Like, I think there's a large section of people who would enjoy some elements of player housing, but don't enjoy building. Does that make sense? Like,
Yes.
There are people who would want to RP, who would want to visit a house, or would want to run a farm, or would want to, all of these other things. But the problem is, all there is right now with player housing is just the building part, which is really, really good, by the way. Like, I'm not going to back down on that. Like, they did an excellent job on the engine and all of the things and the variety that they have. The problem is, like, right now, housing is only for the builders, and now they need to find some way to have other people get involved. And that's better for the builders. Right? Like, you shouldn't have to make a YouTube video and post it on Reddit for people to see this, right? Like, imagine if you just somehow, for whatever reason, randomly encountered people's cool houses somehow, right? Like, you just, saw some guy talking shit in trade chat, or you saw an advertisement for a cat girl strip club.
Oh my God. It's so weird to me, though. Exactly what
But
you're actually saying.
you never click on that, though.
It's so strange to me that it's not about the community, that the housing has almost exclusively been designed as like this individual endeavor. Like, it's not actually about community-based stuff, which to me seems like that should be like the appeal. Like the cat girl strip club that I definitely didn't go to.
No, we just use that as an example of something that other people would go to.
Yeah, other nefarious activities.
So, I think they also kind of did themselves a disservice by phasing everybody into the same plot. Meaning, like, if you want to check out a neighborhood, like, how do you know you're gonna ever get your friend's plot? How do you? I mean, you can manually see it, but if you want to check out whatever, North Orgrimmar Street 5, whatever, that doesn't mean anything, right? Like, it's the same area, the same house, the same land on every single.
I suspect there's engine limitations with that,
I
right?
assume so too, but that's not the case in every other game.
Well, we're talking about World of Warcraft here,
Sure.
right?
But I'm just
So I have a
saying, like,
question. Sorry, go ahead. You can finish.
oh, if I'm just gonna go walk through a neighborhood, I'm not gonna see anyone probably. I'm gonna see a couple houses. Who knows if that house is active? Like, if I wanted to find a pop-in neighborhood, how do I find that in game?
I'm with you. Like, listen, I'm all in. I think we all understand the reason that you
Yeah.
can't, though.
Well, let's say. So just a question, and you guys might not even know because we haven't used the system, but let's say you go on Reddit and you see like the super cool Pokemon house that has all the Pokemon murals or whatever. How do you visit that house? Do you have to like
them?
Yeah, do you have to be on the person's friends list to join? Like, I feel like that's an obvious first step of like, if you want to, and I could just be like misinformed here, and there might be a system, but like, I feel like the first step should be like, I should just be able, if a neighborhood and a house deems it open, or if they want to put up something in a group finder or something, like I should just be able to join and visit a house, right?
If you join their group in Group Finder, you can visit their house. That is a thing.
So do you like join their? What do? Do you like right click on their name or whatever and then
Yeah,
visit
you
house?
house. Yeah, whatever.
I see. Okay. So, but you do have to be. So you either have to have them added or be in a group with them physically.
Correct. Yes.
Okay.
Which there is something, you're saying
it's
that
okay.
You're saying that they
Yeah.
should be able to post a URL and then you copy the URL into the game and then
Yeah.
you spawn in their house, which is like, all right, I see where you're coming from with that.
Yeah,
like
just make it a little bit more. And who knows, right? Like this just might take time to develop, right? Like I highly doubt whenever Final Fantasy or whatever game rolled out housing in the first year there was all this shit going on, right? It probably took some time to build and for the community to get used to.
Yeah.
And I think that it is sort of a growing period, but like, what we're saying is like, Blizzard, you can give it a little bit of kick in the butt. You can help these people out a little bit, especially when you're going to dedicate an entire expansion to it.
Yeah. All right. Next thing, I have a soapbox that I found this week. Are you guys ready for this? There was
on Twitter. Is this it?
Yep. I've been perusing Twitter.
Dude, I saw this in the show notes.
Yeah.
I just saw Tettles attacking Annie Fuchsia on Twitter, and I'm like, oh god, this.
Okay. So there was this tweet by Annie Fuchsia. She said, I really don't like that Mythic Plus now has 3 FOMO mounts per season. I just think that the KSM mount was great, and if you missed a season, you missed a mount. No problem. It's similar to the seasonal PvP mount. But now, as it currently stands, you miss a season, you miss 3 mounts. And then she puts in quotation marks as like the rebuttal here. But Annie, they added a saddle to catch you up on any mounts that you missed. Yeah, but that comes with a vendor that has 6 new recolors as well, meaning it will take 6 seasons to collect those first before you even consider old ones. I also wouldn't be surprised if they added new recolor ones to the vendor at that point. I don't know, it just feels like so much bloat. And so then she would go on to say that this is an issue of quantity over quality, and that she thought that the quality of the content that we were getting is not as high as it has been in the past, and that they shouldn't have added mounts to it's not the 1% title, actually, I think is where the mount is attached to. I don't think it's actually at 3400. I think the 3400 is just the saddle.
There's new mounts there's new mounts at 3400.
The 3400 is the saddle, right? And the mounts,
the saddle, which also contains new mounts. There are 6 new mounts at 3400.
Yeah, so they're the recolors of like the spider tank and the, I don't remember, void walker or something like that. I responded, it's not a punishment for not playing. It's actually a reward for those who do play. And then like, dude, to me, the concept of this being 3 FOMO mounts per season, it was like, these are rewards for people who are like Mythic Plus enthusiasts. That's how I view this. And the fact that it's boiled down to Mythic Plus is just this thing that gives me mounts seemed kind of insane. Like, where these are clearly designed for the people who are doing Mythic Plus. No, am I missing the point here? Like, these are the rewards for the Mythic Plus enthusiasts who want to continue to push themselves. This isn't like, and if you want a reward, you should have to complete the content. Is that unreasonable to say? And sure, maybe the argument is that it shouldn't be seasonal. I disagree. I actually think that the prestige and the seasonality of the things are cool. And like she points out here, there are saddles. that you can get later on if you really care about a specific mount. Like I understand that there's like some completionist level players that are really into stuff like this. At the same time, like I think for me, like this is just the rewards for Mythic Plus players. These are their cutting edge level rewards at like the 1% title in 3400.
Bro, you want to go?
Yeah. One thing I think that there is some truth to her point is the idea of that the saddles feel a little bit weird, right? Like it isn't really a catch-up mechanic, right? It's a get amount if you really, really want it, but ultimately you will be like behind in your collection or whatever. Yeah, I mean, I definitely obviously take your side on this, and I agree with the
word punishment.
Like
I think is what like I think that was the part that was like, holy shit, punishment. Like, dude, if you don't like Mythic Plus, there's no punishment. You don't have to do it. Like that's it.
So the way that I see it is this is people who collect mounts have been doing it for many, many years. Took a while to get used to the fact that they're never going to get the glad mounts or the elite mounts or whatever they're called. And I feel like this might be a new situation as well. And I feel bad for those that don't want to invest the time, but that mount is literally designed that not everyone can get it. Right? Like by definition, a top 1% mount means 99% of people are not getting it. And like I understand how it would feel bad, but in an MMO, I'm not sure that everybody gets to deserve everything in the first place. That's the whole point of an MMO. Somebody's going to have something that you don't have. That's just reality in my mind. And like, I don't think there's a person out there who has every single mount in the game. Everybody's going to need to make sacrifices, and that sucks. But I think for the majority of players, I think this is probably a good thing, and it sucks for those that feel differently about it, and I get that.
So, yeah, I think this isn't aimed towards specifically Annie Fuchsia because I actually think she's a gamer. I mean, she was in OnlyFans or whatever. Like, I got to play with her a little bit, but I think for a lot of people in WoW, they've really gone off the rails and really lost the message of what collecting is. To me, part of collecting is you invest a lot of time and you do all of these different elements in the game and then you're rewarded for that, right? Like whenever I think of collecting, I think of I don't remember. I think it's Artemisia. I don't remember her Twitter or her name or anything. I haven't played
That's
with
right,
her, but
Artemisia.
yeah, and she's on Twitter and she's like a really, really big mount collector that posts stuff. And she does all of the things. Like she is like, I'm pretty sure she does high keys. Pretty sure she is in a cutting edge or even Hall of Fame guild. She's like doing all of the different parts of the game to do all of these things. And when I think of her, I don't think of like, oh, she just sits here and has infinite time and goes through a checklist. Like she has explored and achieved all of the different parts of the game. And I think to me, that's what collecting means. But it's gone so far now where it's just like so many people view collecting as like I don't honestly like a fucking NPC. Like you load onto the game and you just have a checklist of your to-do list. So talk to this, go here, go here. Oh, I get another mount. I get another mount. Like, is that really all that collecting has become? Is just like some dog shit mobile game, follow all of the steps and not like, oh, I'm a part of all this and I've done all of these things. Like, I don't know, to say that like, you know, like if you're somebody who says I want to have all the mounts, right? I not only sympathize, but I think that's cool. But part of that is the undertaking of doing what it takes to get the mounts and to be upset that they add more. Like if you are a true collector or achiever, in my opinion, I think you should be excited by anything that they add that gives you something to do or something to achieve. And if you were to say that, oh, I'm mad that they made this thing that's really hard to get that I don't want to get right now, I kind of question, like, well, what are you in it for in the first place? I mean, again, for someone like Annie Fuchsia, I kind of understand. And the idea is that, okay, you've been a collector for so long and you have all these other things that you do in your life and you may skip a season or whatever. But again, like, okay, so now you're not an Omega Super Giga Chad collector. You're just a slightly less collector with like 2 less mounts that you'll never use, right? Like, I think that ultimately you do have to have these rewards and have these things in the game to pave the way to let new people who are excited by these things and who want to accomplish these things to earn and feel rewarded.
Yeah, I think it's the concept of like rewards versus FOMO mounts. I think, right? Like these are Mythic Plus players' rewards, and for her, they are FOMO mounts, and that's like the differentiator, right?
And I mean, everybody's gonna have a different opinion. Everybody's entitled to their own opinion on it, but it definitely is hard.
Doesn't mean you're right.
It's hard for Blizzard to do anything regarding one of the most popular types of rewards in the game, being mounts, if they have to consider every aspect of the game as well, right? Like you cannot reward people with super cool mounts from the top end of content, and also, cater to the mount collectors.
This is a hot take, and I know some people strongly disagree. I actually think that cutting edge mounts should be restricted to just that season as well. Like, I don't actually think, like, similar to the 1% title mounts and similar to PvP mounts, I've never thought that cutting edge mounts should have existed past the season that is current.
I think you will get the exact same reaction as this 3400 mount if that actually happened. Because basically you're changing the way people have played for a while.
Yeah.
People have made these for X number of years that they're not going to get the PvP mounts, so they're okay with that. But now you're adding a mount that is unavailable unless you do Mythic Plus, or you're changing the way the Mythic raid mounts are. People are going to be upset about that because change always just makes people upset, period.
I like the thought of scarcity for it more than anything else, right? And the prestige that's associated with scarcity. I don't think that Blizzard needs to go through and actually change something realistically. I think that, like, mostly because, people would be pissed. But like I see the AUTC mounts are seasonal and they never come back, and people are okay with that. I've never really understood why the fuck is it any different with the cutting edge mount.
Wait, are they actually? Can you not get those mounts?
Most of the time, you can't get them anymore.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think what Squishy's sort of saying, and I think where a lot of this comes from, or like the idea of FOMO or punish or whatever, is simply because Blizzard does do that, right? Like, they basically give you every way to get everything, and so whenever they try and do anything that's exclusive or rare or anything like that, then everyone is like, what the fuck? Which, I mean, I think it's a problem that there's not more exclusive stuff. Like, I think that's cool, but, again, I understand why you would feel that way when 99.9% of the mounts you can get, and then it's like, well, okay, I want, I personally believe that, then get it, then earn it, you know?
I mean, their identity, some of these people's identity isn't I'm a collector, it's I'm a completionist. And I think that that's kind of the difference, right? Where if you're a collector, you're like, I collect the things that I want. If you're a completionist, you're like, I have to get everything. And I think that that's where it becomes like FOMO mounts, right?
Yeah, I guess I've had this thought a lot about the idea of FOMO, and I just don't know. I just don't think that you can really say that it's Blizzard's fault or it's on Blizzard to somehow subside this FOMO, because ultimately it's created within you, right? Like, you are the person that's deciding that you want to earn all the mounts and have all of the things, right? So to say that Blizzard should do something about that, it's like, well, there's a huge other percent of the player base that doesn't feel that way and doesn't care. And it's like, well, if you feel so, like, part of the idea of feeling inclined of having all the things is so that you can say that you have all the things and that you earn them, right? Like, if there was an NPC in a Tournament Realm NPC that was in Silvermoon that you just could buy every single collectible and every single everything in the game, right? Would you be a collector if you walked up to that NPC and just bought everything? Like, but that's almost like what... and also to say, like, there's somewhere in the comments, I mean, you were deep in the comments, by the way. You were fighting the collectors in the fucking comments of this thread, but someone said something that, like, oh, they could easily, make it obtainable by some level of delves or whatever, and it's just like, it's just not the same thing. Like, to be 1% of a season or even 3,400 of a specific season, like, to say that you can somehow do that at a later date and then it's the same thing. It just isn't, right? It just is not the same thing.
Yeah, no, it's definitely it's an interesting thought process. That's why I actually thought it was, like, really interesting to read her thoughts on it too, because it's clear that she plays the game in a very different manner than the rest of us, right?
Yeah, and also, I mean, these are the people that are deep in that world too, so that's why we have strong opinions, but also, like, we do want to hear what they have to say. And part of our Inquisition is so that we can learn and understand it better, right? Because these people who have been collecting infinite mounts and have all the achievement points or whatever, like that's not our realm, but that is a realm that a lot of people live in that's important for the game. And it's like, okay, well, how do we balance these two things so that I can feel cool for my one mount and then you can feel cool for your 10,000 mounts and we can somehow coexist in the world?
So, interesting question. They haven't announced the 3,400 mount yet, have they?
No, sorry, you mean the 1% mount?
The 1%.
Sorry, yeah,
mount.
the 1%.
Correct.
Yeah, sorry.
No, they have not.
Yeah.
They have not announced it.
What the fuck are they hiding this for? Like, how are people gonna go for an unknown +1? I feel like that's the wrong, like... Okay, let's be real
I
here.
feel like that's a better reward. Like, don't tell me it's just going to be some dog shit recolor of something else, because then I'm not going to care. Just the fact that it's some unknown secret mount is like, all right,
Okay,
this is
so like,
good.
okay, the funny thing is, if you go with like, if you go to a collector, as we just talked about, or completionist, and are like, there's this thing that drops a mount, they're just, you know, they're probably gonna be like, I don't care what this mount is, it's a +1 for me. I'm gonna go do it.
Yeah, exactly.
But you're targeting the top end of Mythic Plus here.
What were those called? Like
And you're
Wonder
like-
Balls? Like, do you know what I'm talking about? The fucking chocolate
No.
ball with like the mystery toy inside?
Like Kinder Surprise?
Yeah, it's something similar, right?
Okay.
I think they're called like Wonder Balls or something. That's the thought of what it could be is sometimes more enticing than what it actually is.
It's a fortune cookie.
Yeah, exactly. It's the fortune cookie.
I mean, like, do you think they'll actually announce it? Is the interesting question. They have to, right?
Potentially haven't
I mean,
announced
surely,
it.
I mean, surely at some point it gets added to the game, and then there's a Wowhead post. Oh, we data mine the mount or whatever, right? Like, unless it's some Omega super mount that they're actually going to, like, quote unquote announce. I mean, I'm pretty sure that's just how every mount gets announced, right? Is it just gets put into the game and then, you know, it gets data
On
mined.
PTR, sure, but as far as I know, there hasn't been.
Huh.
Which is why, like, why is this a surprise? Like, the Mythic Raid mount gets data mined.
Holy shit, you're just feeding the FOMO, Squishy. I can't believe you just did that. You're literally feeding the FOMO. You try and be the friend of these people, and then you're like, oh, but it's gonna be some super secret that they haven't announced.
Hey, you never know, man.
Never know. All right. So we fielded some Q&A. We didn't know how long this week's episode was going to last, so we fielded some bonus Q&A for you guys this week, where we're going to talk through a bunch of like random stuff, and then we're going to end whenever we are done with this Q&A, or you know, it's been 40 minutes. First question we have from Kess Live, the best evoker in the world. He asks, what are your thoughts on snapping being banned in the MDI? WoW's biggest stage, especially with BlizzCon coming up, and we will be forced to watch players fight one mob at a time in Algathar Academy in a speedrun environment. So yeah, there was this interesting post on Wowhead and some changes to the rules where we have one change to announce regarding the general stance towards strategies utilizing snapping mobs. Going forward, snapping strategies will no longer be permitted for use in competition during the MDI, and any team intending to use this mechanic must submit a VOD and detailed request prior to tournament play. Yeah, really, why is a really good question. I don't know.
This is really controversial, and I know I got a really, really, really negative response from the community that watches the MDI. Because I think it's going to be a really stale, like, MDI because of it. I mean, from what I saw, like, this was discussed on Reddit, across social media. One of the biggest things is, like, what are the most fond memories of the MDI? It's probably something like the Echo Doty snap, where they, like, snapped the mob across the portals. It's the weird tech that nobody, like, that a team managed to figure out.
So you said something to me. I don't even know if you remember this, but years and years ago, you were like, what do people watch the MDI for? It's for the absolute fiestas, or it's for the insano shit that you'll never see anywhere else. Those are the only two reasons that people ever watch the MDI. And I have carried that with me for like 5 years at this point, because you know what? You are absolutely fucking right. And the fact that they're banning snapping makes me so sad, because there are so many cool snaps.
I can't wait to watch, you know, both teams just fighting single target on the Guardian Sentry and Algathar. Woo! Like,
it feels like they just are they're just way too obsessed with the competitive integrity of the MDI. Like, it's one thing if this was a super, and maybe I'm like a little bit biased here because, you know, I'm old and I came from a lot of grassroots esports, but it'd be one thing if this was some huge important league where tons of people play, but ultimately, like, this is one tournament that's quite small on the grand scheme of things, and most people, like, it's just not really that big. And I feel like the very few cool moments of it come from all of the tech, and they've slowly, tried, like they just, I don't know what it is, like if they don't like their game appearing a certain way, or if somebody in charge is just really, really wants competitive integrity to be important. But like, ultimately, I think it should just be the Wild West and do whatever you want. And this is speaking from somebody who came from the Plague Borer tournament, and I literally lost to them doing the Plague Borers. While they were, like, honestly, the Plague Borer snap was cool. It was the infinite range misdirect bug or whatever that was, like, in the patch notes for a year that never got fixed, was, like, the weird part about that whole ordeal. But anyway, I think that they just got to let stuff slide and not obsess over the details, because I think the more they obsess over the details, the less the game, or the less fun the game is to watch. Sorry. I just think that it just doesn't, like, how are you gonna, you're really, really heavily relying on like two teams playing perfectly and it being Omega close, and that's basically the only event that's going to be fun to watch, right? Otherwise it's like, I don't know. I think when teams have some sort of crazy tech or crazy route, that's what makes it interesting, no?
What happens if you accidentally snap a mob? I was thinking about this the other day. What happens if you accidentally snap a mob? Then what?
Depends on which team you are.
Where would you accidentally snap a mob in these dungeons? Like,
okay, so these dungeons, you're not going to accidentally snap a mob.
Okay,
Dark Heart
that's
Ticket,
what I wanted to know. Okay.
A Taldazar, any fucking so many dungeons in the past, you accidentally snap mobs all the time, right?
I think if the person reviewing what's going on knows what they're doing, it's pretty clear when something is deliberate or not, right? Like, if it's a mob that somehow the mechanics are, well, first of all, this has to happen on live too, right? Like, they fix almost all the mobs that you can, like, negate their mechanics and stuff on live. So it has to be it can't be a routing thing. It's not like, oh, whoops, I accidentally snapped the Storm Guardian and Algathar onto the birds. Like, how could, there's no way you could accidentally do a routing thing. And it would have to be a mob that gets negated or somehow made easier by the snap, and you'd have to make it look like it was an accident. I just don't think you could really.
More than anything, I just want to see the best teams doing the coolest shit. And for lack of a better term, I just wanted to watch them break the game a little bit. Like, I don't watch Super Mario 64 speedrunning for them to missionary with the lights on the intended route or something like that. I want to watch them backwards long jump through the parallel universes and like end up in Bowser's room and one star the game. Like, I think it's cool. Like, I don't know why there has to be so much red tape with the MDI. Like,
there's
makes me sad.
A place for like a regular run, right? Like, there is a place for that. I think that is cool to an extent, but I think the majority I think we are absolutely losing something by not allowing people to snap.
I had a conversation at dinner with some friends the other day, and we were talking about this specifically, and they were like, the Dawn of the Infinite snap is the coolest thing I've ever seen, and the fact that can no longer exist made them sad. And I was like, yeah, it is a bummer.
Yeah. I mean, I think probably like just sort of like what you were saying, what Squishy said, right? Like, probably 9 out of every 10 memorable MDI moments that have happened have been basically not made possible anymore because of this change. And it's like, yeah, okay, maybe a really close match or whatever is still cool, but they're taking away a lot of the fun of the event.
All right, next question. What have you guys enjoyed the most so far in Midnight Season 1? All right, Squishy, we'll start with you. What have you enjoyed the most about the season?
I think for me, I have liked just gaming 10s and 12s with friends on alts and whatever characters I like. I kind of missed it, like, getting kind of over that now, but just having fun doing Mythic Plus has just been a good vibe, more than anything else. I think that's basically it for me.
Ooh, I feel so negative. I'm having trouble coming up with something.
All right, I'll say.
Really? All right, no, hold on, stop. I'll stop myself here, okay? I don't want to say what it is in fear of what people are gonna think of me.
Okay.
I think it's been the raid. I've actually really enjoyed the raid, and I've been having fun raiding. I just didn't.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't want to say it. I was scared. It's not that I couldn't come up with something. It's that I don't. People are just gonna see me as a raider now.
Well, you are a raider, and you're also a raider because you don't stream the raid. That's how you know
How
you're
much
a
of
raider.
it is that you're not healing the raid? Honest question.
It might be a lot. I feel like if I was having to do this stupid symbol game on Lura while dodging glaives and shit, I would. Dude, the despair in like Greg or JB's voice when I know exactly what happened and they're like punching in the symbol and then they get hit by a glaive that goes through the boss. I'm glad that I don't have to relive that. But I'm not sure. I don't know. Like I've healed all the way up to paladins, and I've had fun doing those bosses. I haven't not liked it.
All right, my answer, I think I've actually really been enjoying playing AUG, but also playing AUG in pretty high keys. This week, I'm really close to Resilient 20s, and I have a 21 pit timed.
Nice.
And I think the concept of just like playing AUG in really high dungeons has actually been very, very interesting so far. I've been enjoying that a lot. I think that's really cool. It's going to be unfortunate whenever they delete this specialization from the game and delete the Apex talent from existence, but I'm enjoying it currently.
Yeah.
That Apex talent will not survive, but I had fun.
That I will say that is a very nice vibe. I absolutely agree with that. Like the new AUG, way less cringe than the previous ones. So
Yeah.
agreed with that one.
Okay. Next question. If you were Blizzard, what are 3 things that you would tell your UI engineers to focus on first and foremost for the base UI? And he said, I'll go first. Coloring enemy nameplates, a proper resource bar system, adding alignment options on the game, for example, center grow on group frame, cooldown manager, etc.
Okay. I will go with number 1, and I think I'm surprised this isn't on there. A fucking damage meter that works.
Holy shit.
Controversial, I say.
Does that include the death log? Because that was going to be mine. Not having a working death log is the most
it's like a 1 to 2
thing.
It could be 1, it could be 2. Dude, I was sitting there yesterday trying to figure out how I died, and then I figured out because I saw Purg at the top, and I'm like, right, it's bugged.
Like, to me, I actually don't think real-time... I had this discussion with somebody, and I'm going to make people mad, but I actually don't think real-time DPS meters or damage numbers is important or even good for the game. But I think knowing exactly what happened when you died and seeing the names of the abilities and what did what damage is so fucking important for literally everybody that's playing the game. And I gave Blizzard some leeway, and it was like, oh, it wasn't working on beta. Like, don't worry, guys, it'll be working. And I'm like, don't worry, guys, the game just came out. I'm sure they'll get it working now. And now I just look like a dumbass. And I'm just like, bro, how is it like...
You would be both, buddy.
We're all idiots, I think, here. I think we took massive L's on that one.
Like, I could... Honestly, the death meter to me is the most important thing out of all of the things that details used to be able to provide. And not understanding what you died to, because like, especially, you're talking about the visual clarity of some of these fights. Like, you don't even know if you got hit. Like, I literally feel like now that I'm required to run NVIDIA Shadowplay 24/7 while I'm playing, just so that I can save shadow plays and look to see what I died to. Like, I don't even have the death meter. Like, my shadow play folder is massive this patch because I have no way to know how I died.
Yep.
My number one thing that I think Blizzard needs to fix with the UI is that I think that add-ons should under no circumstances be a competitive advantage. This is absolutely bananas that they literally said that it was going to be that wasn't going to be a competitive advantage, and then we got add-ons that are a massive competitive advantage because nobody, like they said in their blue post, nobody actually wants to use add-ons. But at the same time, the thing that I want to do even less is feel like I'm at a competitive disadvantage because I'm not downloading a Chinese Mythic Plus add-on for TTS alerts now that sometimes works and sometimes doesn't work. And dude, have you seen this add-on at all, Squishy?
I have, yes.
Dude, this add-on is insane because it also has trash alerts that sometimes work because the trash alerts...
That's the best part.
Oh my god. Okay, the reason that the trash alerts sometimes work is if you have the English pack installed, it won't work at all. But the reason that they sometimes work is because they are predicting what pack you're going to be pulling and trying to put nameplate cooldowns on the mobs, which if it works, it is the most overpowered shit on this planet. Nameplate cooldowns are broken, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. Like, I was going to play the game like that anyways. And you get TTS alerts for Mythic Plus because in this, this is the biggest competitive advantage that you can get, and it's some add-on that's not even in English that I'm currently using.
I mean, this has always been the case, I feel like. There was the Chinese Miss Suicora that was used forever.
Okay, that was also heat.
Like, man, there are things that the one thing that I hate is all the add-ons right now that sometimes work. I hate that. That's the worst part about it. It's like interrupt tracking sometimes works. Cooldown tracking, defensive tracking sometimes works. And it's just like, how did we just get rid of it, man?
At what point is it cheating? Like, okay, my understanding my understanding of this system is that Blizzard hid some information, and add-on developers are basically piecing together other small nonsense things that could potentially figure out how, like, and then to display that information for you, right? Like, that's essential. Because, like, basically, for instance, before they blacklisted the frames or whatever, it, like, as a shaman, you only have 2 hots. You have Riptide and Earthshield, and it would, like, math out and be like, okay, this person has 2 hots, therefore they have to have both. And then it would figure out, okay, here's where his Earthshield is, therefore this is not Earthshield. But it's like, at what point are you just not fucking cheating? Like, if Blizzard is telling you that you're not supposed to see these things, or it's not supposed to be displayed.
Whenever
like,
Blizzard starts banning people, that's when it's cheating.
Yes. I think that, well, granted, again, I think that the obvious solution is to do a better lockdown of the information. But ultimately, like, if people are going to make bullshit workarounds to do things to give themselves a competitive advantage, like, at what point is that not cheating? Like, I think that just the fact that WoW has gone so long with this, okay, everyone uses add-ons for everything, it's sort of just become normalized to, like, go into a dungeon and then think, how do I use a computer program to cheat? But, like, imagine shit like this in Overwatch. Like, imagine you're playing Overwatch and you have an AI thing that's looking at the timer and how much damage that you're doing.
Ult.
That was
right? Like, bomb soon. Warning, Reinhardt shield activated. Shield broken. Like, now you would just be fucking cheating. Like,
10,
what do you mean?
9,
wasn't that a thing
8,
in League?
What?
Well, there was an overlay for, like, Baron timers and, like, that kind of thing.
There was the curse overlay that existed for 48 hours in League of Legends, and they were like, we are going to ban you for using this shit. Take this shit down. Like, this, they're like, under no circumstances are you allowed to use any of this.
Yeah.
You make, like, a Counter-Strike program where it, like, tells you exactly how far somebody can be running from A, so you know exactly where they might be if they're holding forward. And as soon as it hears the first frame of a reload sound, it puts a timer on your screen for how long that guy's reloading, so you know when he's going to peek or not. Like, it's just, you're just cheating.
I mean, we ended the episode on a funny note last time, right? Like, where I was mentioning you could just literally track interrupt cooldowns outside the game.
Right?
I don't want to hear it. I don't want to fucking hear it, man.
I would and that was going to be my number 2 after Deathlog and Damage Meter. Number 2 should be a real functioning interrupt kick in the game. Like, kick tracker. Like, I actually think it is that important to have. They should stop beating around the bush and trying to get people to communicate, because it's not going to fucking happen. And just add one of the games wherever you can see everybody's party interrupt.
Yeah.
I think that's my number 2.
I think we all got one, and then you can have a second one. we got to keep moving on, otherwise we're going to be on this question forever. The next question actually also related towards the UI and add-ons, and it says, whenever players resort to add-ons to assign mechanics such as Fractalus, Light-Blinded Vanguard Dispels, Lura Memory Game, do you think that is a failure in encounter design or a problem with the existence of add-ons? Should raid encounters pack so much of their difficulty into assignment mechanics, or is this just a recipe for disaster? Growl, I think you were kind of tiptoeing around this earlier, where you were like, what is cheating?
Well, I think there's a little of both. I think the failure of encounter design comes from either mechanics that are way too easily solved by tools like this that make them trivial, or when it doesn't allow you to do it without the tools. But I think that a majority of the raid mechanics are actually fine. And so for instance, the kick tracker one, right? Okay. So I heard, and again, I'm fighting the nerf version of Lura, so I might not understand, right? But my personal opinion is that you don't need, the kicks require absolutely no weak aura or no anything. You literally have a macro, and this is all in-game. You can say, when the ads spawn, you can make a macro that's target the first ad, target the second ad, target the third ad. Everybody targets it. You focus that ad, you look, okay, the first person is assigned, the second person is assigned, the third person is assigned. You don't need a weak aura for that. Like, if anything, I think if you just sit there and you just turn your brain off and you just only press your kick button when the weak aura works, in my opinion, you're like causing more troubles. Like, we've probably lost way more pulls doing the weak aura, I think, than if people just use their brains. Like yesterday, for example, I mentioned that we had somebody who DC'd out of the raid and then we subbed them in, and we were having trouble getting the weak aura working, right? And then we realized that, oh, the name is wrong on the list, blah, blah, blah. And then one of our raiders was just like, yeah, but I've been just doing my job the whole time because I use my brain. Like, I don't need like, I've just been kicking it when it's my turn to kick because I'm just playing the game. Like, we could, I didn't tell you to fix it because you don't need it, right? But
Yip said that in the Race to World First 2 on the pre-nerf version too. Like, he missed one of his kicks and they were like, you should install this add-on. He goes, you know what? I'm just never going to miss my kick again. And he just proceeded to never miss his kick again because he's based.
I mean, so like, that mechanic was probably designed to just have someone go 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you're done, right? Like, everybody just kicks on the count and you're done, right? Like, you didn't really need a weak aura for that. I completely agree, right? So ultimately, I think a big part of the stuff is basically just, if add-ons exist, people are going to use them.
Yes.
Yep.
That's full stop. If add-ons are always a competitive advantage, if they exist, people are going to use them. That's it.
I mean, why wouldn't you? Like, why would you put yourself at a disadvantage? Like, genuinely.
Yeah.
Maybe this is Blizzard's strategy, is just to make add-ons completely dog shit, and then sooner or later, we'll see how long it takes the player base to learn that it's actually making them, like, worse.
Me and my half-working Chinese add-on, I will take that shit to the grave, man. Like, what do you want from me?
So many people have asked me for my configuration on the Chinese add-on, and I just don't even have one because it's just a virus and it's terrible. And I don't even know if, like, half the keys I do, I don't even have it on because I don't even know if, like, when it's unreliable and you don't know that it's going to come up and you need to hand configure
finally
every single
gotten it
sound
working.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know. I think, granted, it is absolutely on Blizzard to fix this shit. Like, they did not do a good job with the add-on situation, and they left a ton of stuff uncovered. I do think at some point as a community, we can realize, like, okay, maybe this isn't, like, we don't need to use these add-ons or do this thing, and we can just play the game.
I'm double down. Also, fuck TTS. That shit should have been deleted from the fucking game too.
I don't know that one's ever going anywhere. I'm going to be dead honest.
Dude,
yeah,
it's
because
so
of accessibility.
bad.
Yeah.
It's literally so bad. Why am I allowed to use it then?
Like, I mean,
I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about the TTS thing. Like, I've noticed, I've basically been using it ever since I downloaded Liquid Reminders, and it's just, like, such a cheat. Now to the point where, like, I've considered just muting my entire raid and just replacing Drogo with text-to-speech, and just, like, stand here, left of X, kick now, and it's like, I mean, technically that's kind of the same thing as a raid leader anyway.
Except less
You're not
attitude.
wrong.
Way
You're
less
not
attitude. My text-to-speech never lets me down.
And then suddenly it breaks. But
your text-to-speech also doesn't passively aggressively sigh into the microphone whenever you wipe.
Yeah. If you had to take a punt, we're talking about it. Are Blizzard going to do anything regarding add-ons next year? Given the way they've seen things go this year.
Yes, I think they're going to continue to try to iterate on it, but, like, dude, I feel like it feels like they're so far off of anything that anybody wants with add-ons, right? That's kind of the problem that we're seeing here, is that they're not close to what the community would deem as, like, an appropriate solution to this add-on situation.
Yeah, I hope, I guess this is me hoping, not thinking, that they iterate, they continue to iterate and restrict things that they can restrict and that they should restrict. I think that, for example, they realized, why am I restricting HOTS on, your own frame, right? Like why am I not letting the game tell you who has life bloom or whatever? Like ultimately that may cause some problems, but you just have to have that blacklist whitelist situation to be able to clean your frames. Like there are some things that I think that they should be careful around and iterate and think about what they need to do, but there are other things that, like, okay, they just need to hide this information.
I'm pretty sure they made
it out of the way.
The raid frames just randomly worse this patch too. Like, I think there's some stuff with tooltips and raid frames now that's really fucking annoying.
Yeah, I've heard.
I don't know about that.
I've still seen the problem where debuffs get stuck, or when add-ons think that I don't know if it's an add-on or a raid frame thing, but it doesn't know that someone in your party has a raid buff, and it just keeps telling you to use your raid buff or whatever. That happens.
Oh. That's probably a base game thing, actually.
That's fair. Okay. I mean, we never talked about blacklist, whitelist, but that's also something Blizzard probably should do.
I mean, they said that they were going to be doing something with it, I think.
Yeah, we haven't heard about it since, so...
Well... Anyway, next question. Do you think that Rogue will see any changes to its utility and raids in this upcoming patch? This is a class that I think has been the most power crept by a lot since basically BFA. This was a class that had really good utility in Battle for Azeroth, where it had good single target lockdown. Shroud was pretty valuable. Cloak was really good. Feint was useful on most things. And since then, Rogue has received approximately 0 changes. In fact, they had AoE blind, and then AoE blind got removed. So they actually got less now than they had in the past in some capacity. I think if there is, the DKs complain about the grip is not a raid buff. Rogue needs some shit. Like, honestly, like a smoke bomb DR or something insane, right? Like I think that this class is in desperate need of some help.
I think Rogue just seems to be getting less attention than other specs. I think that's kind of how I feel about Rogue right now.
I don't even think that's a thought. Like, I think that's just objectively true, isn't it?
I mean, their hero taunts suck. Like, I think they're probably some of the worst in the game.
How is
you gonna say something?
How is AMS Cloak of Shadows on a 30-second cooldown? I just have to know. It's actually better than Cloak, actually, which is the crazier thing.
Isn't there a lot of boss mechanics that don't interact with the Rogue raid buff? The poison or whatever?
Yes.
That's what I think is a huge problem that I don't really like. Obviously, I get it. Like, the way that they implemented it wouldn't make sense. But to me, having their raid buff be that it debuffs the target and it makes the target do less damage, but many things randomly don't come from the target in a raid, therefore it's not really a very good raid buff, right?
I mean, they have a worse version of Curse of Tongues. They have a worse version of AMS. Like, I don't even understand how this happens, where they are literally just the worst at everything. They have no AoE/CC. I think, is this the only class in the game that doesn't have an AoE/CC? How is that even possible?
Is AoE blind not a thing anymore?
No.
I mean, I know nothing about Rose because you just never play with them.
They literally fucking deleted everything.
Yeah.
Let me make 100%. They did delete it, right? I'm not just making that up.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm pulling it up, making 100% sure.
It could be like a choice node with something important too. I mean, what's funny is, if anything, it's just a sign of how much things have been power crept, because Rogue has never had an AoE stun, right? Besides the AoE blind, but that was only a thing for a short time. Like, for a class not having an AoE stun to be like some sort of like major problem or whatever is just like so silly. But the fact that so many classes have 1 or 2 or 3, I mean, I don't know. Ultimately, it comes down to just balance too, right? Like, if a rogue is doing all of the damage, then you're going to be bringing them and you're going to want them. So that there's always going to be the abandoned stepchild with Blizzard, just because there's so many different classes and specs. But
it looks like it's It looks
Rogue
like it's gone. Oh no.
Yeah.
Here it is. Airborne Irritant. Blind has a 50% reduced cooldown, 70% reduced duration, and applies to all nearby enemies. Oh, it is still in the game. It's on a choice in with Gouge. But I thought it was actually
DPS loss, maybe?
This got removed.
I don't know. I thought they too.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe it is in the game. Is it for Outlaw only or something? Oh no. Okay, I don't know. I thought it actually got deleted in the patch. I thought they didn't have an AoE.
I thought it did too. I thought they kept complaining that they don't have it anymore or something.
Yeah, that's what. I don't know. Misled. But yeah, no, that class is sad.
Yep.
Okay, next question. With all the rumors swirling about Classic Plus news on the horizon, what do you guys all want / hope for?
Growl?
I don't know. Fundamentally, I hope that it's something that they really care about and that it's not a, oh, hey, here's our live team and here's these 4 guys that are doing this. Like, I hope they understand the severity of what they're doing when they announce something that's Classic Plus and how possibly successful it could be, and if they give it the love and attention that it should. From a feature perspective, I think maybe... I think that hardcore was a crazy innovative part of Classic and added a ton of replayability and a ton of cool moments, and I hope that they consider hardcore when they do it. What about you, Squishy? Will anything get you to play Classic Plus?
What would it take? I would say the biggest thing with... if they have interesting encounters alongside some more interesting classes, like class design stuff. Like, I played BC. There's not too many buttons. It's a pretty basic rotation. If they bring that up just a little, like kind of what Season of Discovery originally was, I think that's cool. I'm fine with that. But I think the biggest thing for me is interesting encounters.
Would you want modern classes?
Surprisingly, no.
Okay.
I want to think that WoW Classic Plus could do a lot with the simpler classes and put a lot more time into other cool things, like whether that be gearing or encounter design or weird systems or whatever the fuck that's on that front.
Growler, people are going to be pissy about class balance, because I think that that's like something that you hear less about in like the normal classics, because the class balance is kind of like this fixed thing. Do you think that with the Classic Plus, people would be more weird about class balance?
Yeah, I mean, I think a big thing that Blizzard has to do is just have a good, basically do well and then hold the line against the idiots. Like, I think people are going to complain about literally every system in Classic Plus, and that's one of the biggest complaints, or rather critics that people have had about Classic Plus, is like, that means different things for different people, right? Like, different people want, for Squishy, for example, right? Like, he or us all, we are thinking more about the reward system, but we still want the complex classes and the complex raids. Whereas some people might think the opposite, is they want to just slam Frostbolt for the entire raid and they want the raid to fall over because they want to shotgun beers and not care, right? Like, some people, that's what Classic means to them. And so I think that Blizzard just has to do exactly what I want and then just not change it for anybody else.
Fair enough.
Okay, good point. All right, next question. Where do you feel like the state of defensives are at?
Ooh.
I think that this season is exposing bad defensive balance more so than most other seasons. For a while, we had this kind of paradigm where one-shots were a pretty key part of the Mythic Plus meta, and right now it's kind of gotten shifted to less one-shots, but more like rot magic damage. And as it turns out, there are 2 specs in the game that are very, very durable, DK and Devour Demon Hunter. I think that the state of defensives, it's very clear that defensives are imbalanced, but defensives have always kind of been imbalanced. I think that if you look at tank, which is the defensive class, tank defensives have never been that well balanced. I think that, if tanks are defensively balanced well against one another, it's lucky by Blizzard, not ever intended.
I mean, tanks is a hard one, but aside from that, they didn't do their defensive pruning equally, and some classes got away with fucking murder. I think that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it's hard for me. I do think that it seems like they did try and pare back some of the defensive stuff from classes, right? Like the idea of combining Renewing Blaze and Scales with Evoker is like, I have no problem with your defensive being strong. I have a problem with you having 4 defensives. I don't see any, I think it should be, okay, you have a button that you press sometimes for really hard moments, And that's like a resource that you have to think about rather than you have 7 different buttons and you have to manage which button you press for every single event. Like, to me, that's shitty gameplay and also impossibly hard to balance. So I think they did good on that regard, but I think that they're not done yet and they need to, consider things about... it's just hard, right? Because, like, if DK and Devour didn't do so much damage, then I don't know if we would be complaining about them, right? They're super... You know what I mean?
What's the next most durable class? Warlock?
Over what?
Just against a dungeon,
like
or
overall,
a raid
like
boss.
overall,
Yes.
overall, like a lot of events. I think maybe Warlock, but even then, I think.
But
Warlock
dude, okay, think about
compare
the
to,
drop off though between those 2 specs and then Warlock, right? It's like, I don't think it's particularly close, right? Like, Warlock is tanky. Warlock is not tanky compared to Devour and DK though. Which is, I think, the weird part for me.
I think it's Devour DK, probably. Aug is pretty tanky with double scales.
Oh, let me tell you, Aug is not tanky compared to some of these classes.
Okay, fair enough. I mean, I think the thing that I think is weird is not necessarily the active defensives, it's the passive defensive value.
Aug is immortal whenever you press your scales, and then you run out of scales charges, and you were sitting there naked, and you're like, I'm fucking dead. Like, I'm actually dead. And then these other classes are like, I'm alive. I'm very alive. Okay.
Yeah, I think you're right in that there is a huge drop off between those two. Obviously, it depends on the encounter, right? Like, some encounters, some classes are specifically really good at, but yeah, I think the defensive balance is not done yet.
Yeah. All right, last question before we gotta go. Should someone who only pugs try and push for the 1% achievement? This is the last one that I wanted to field. I think this is actually kind of interesting. Or would they have no chance? You previously talked about how you think the 1% and how you think 1% and 0.1% are not that close. Well, I guess we said that they're not that close. So
what is it?
About 10,000 people, I think, on NA are going to get the 1% title. Maybe a little bit more, maybe like 14,000 or something.
It's 35.58 right now in NA. So
what is 35.58? Let me look.
That's
somewhere between
18s?
17s and 18s.
It's 120 rating per key level, right? So what is the difference between 1% and 0.1% right now in rating?
It's 35.50 to 38.
Yeah, so almost exactly two key levels of difference right now in score, and I presume it's going to get smaller as we get later into the season.
Maybe.
First of all, yes. The overwhelming answer to your question is yes, because it is a much, much more attainable goal. It's something that you can do in Pugs. It will take a significant time and skill investment as a player, but I think that it's something that is much more attainable than 0.1%. And if you consider yourself somebody who's enjoys the game and wants to be good at the game, and I think that this is a great goal for you, it is possible that basically this is what happens, okay? For people who haven't like pugged a lot or done this stuff in LFG, you run into a point where keys are very, very hard, and you queue into a key, and then you basically deplete like 95% of them, and then you ask if it's Resil, and then if it isn't, then you leave. And then you sit in town in LFG for another 30 minutes until you find a key, right? That's essentially the roof of LFG for most people who are trying to pug. So first of all, don't even worry about if you should anything until you get to that point, wherever that is for you, right? Just go ahead.
Okay, I also have some positive sentiments for this. I think that the 1% achievement is going to be so basically the 0.1% title was achievable through LFG basically up until the point where they added Resilient into the game, and then at that point there were so many incentives for people who played in consistent groups that it basically boxed out anybody who would ever want to try to pug it. I think that something that's nice though about the 1% achievement is that I think every single season it should be puggable by anybody on any specialization. Now, getting into groups for that is difficult, but I think it is certainly doable via LFG exclusively.
I think so too. You will just have an easier time if you find a group of friends, but with enough time and with enough effort, I think you can do this.
Resilience, I think, are very powerful. And now more people are going to be looking to utilize Resilience to give themselves an edge or a leg up onto other people, and to just reduce the amount of time that's required. I think the big thing about the 1% achieve, especially if you're like a fringe player where you could maybe get it, maybe not, and it's going to be really hard, is the amount of time that you're going to have to commit to do this is fucking insane. If you're somebody if you're somebody who's a lot better than it, it's not going to be that bad. But if pugging is a huge time loss just in general.
I was just gonna say, take max gear. You know, you have bis gear, your weapon and trinket upgrades from the dude, Decimus or whatever. What is the top end you think a pug could complete key level wise?
Right. Okay. Well,
at the end of the season, when bis gear is here, we get our weapon upgrades, that kind of thing.
I think pug is a dangerous term because what does pug even mean, right? Like there are people who are title players who pug, but you need to be, it's hard. Eventually it gets to a point where it's like your success rate becomes very, very, very low.
I've timed no voice 20s this week from LFG. Like it's possible. And I actually think that this season is a lot easier to do no voice pugs than previous seasons because of the changes to like how many mobs have kicks. There's basically no elaborate CC chains required. I think that no voice pugs are a lot more playable than they have been in the past.
Well, I think it's dangerous to think about it in terms of a specific key level. Again, right, this is a 1% achievement, right? This is for a specific level of players. So the keys being easier to pug and the keys being easier overall doesn't necessarily mean the achievement will be easier, right? It's going to be easier for everybody else, right? Yes. In order to be the 1%, you have to put in more effort and play better than the other people who want it, right? Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. And so when I was talking about the idea of like a ceiling, right? You're going to run into a ceiling, and then you have to ask yourself that question of like, do I want to put in the effort to break through this, right? You're going to get to a point in LFG where, okay, this is really hard for me. I'm not succeeding in that many keys, and you're going to have to either not be somebody who only pugs, or you're going to have to ram your head into the wall harder than everyone else does.
I will say, getting into a coordinated group, it doesn't even have to be a 5-stack, but getting into a group that's even just getting in voice, I'm pretty sure you get like a full key level just by getting in voice with people. Like on the spot.
What does this even mean when you say that, oh, I'm somebody who only pugs? Like, is it against your religion to make friends, or you don't speak the language of everyone else on your server? Like, come on. Don't be somebody who only pugs. Like, hey, Growl, I'm somebody who I play with my left hand tied behind my back all the time. How high keys do you think I can get? It's like, dude, untie your hand.
Yeah. All right. That's all we got time for. Been going for 2 hours. I gotta go walk my parents' dog, so I gotta leave. All right. Goodbye.
All right. Bye.